Greetings, everyone. This week I have a guest, and who might you be?
Hi, my name's John, and I'm your husband.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself.
You asked me to.
So I often get asked, how can a spouse best support a partner that has a CI or maybe is facing a CI? And so I thought I would do a video on it and ask my partner to come along with this video because honestly, we have some tips for you, but we just want to let you know that we are not perfect. We're not coming here saying, oh, do this or do that. These are all things that we made mistakes on and learned kind of stumbling along the way. And we just want to pass this on to anybody else that is kind of looking down this road and just to help you better prepare for what can be a really stressful situation. So the first tip we want to give you is take care of yourself. When you are a spouse who is taking care of a partner who is going through something really stressful, a health issue, it can be just as stressful for you, and you need to make sure that you have a support system. So I was having a really rough week. I was having vertigo attacks, bad ones every single day. This was the first week this had ever happened to me. I was starting to lose my right ear, and I was in a full tilt meltdown, and he was there right along for the ride. And it was a rough week. Why don't tell us how that week was for you?
Sure. It was pretty tough, and I'll preface it by saying that I'm a type 2 on the Enneagram scale, so I'm a people pleaser when I'm unhealthy, and to have my spouse be going through something that looks like it's career ending as far as being a musician and losing your hearing, and seeing the stress and the panic and the fear that you were going through, you really want to step up and be there as much as possible. And there's not a lot I can do as a human to help your hearing. What I learned is that the more I'm taxed, or the more that I overextend myself, the less helpful I am to you, because I get frustrated. And what I found that I needed to do is I hid myself in the garage, and I called my sister-in-law and said, hey, I don't want to tell Misty, that I'm, really, really frustrated. I just feel overwhelmed. Can I just vent with you a little bit? And for whatever reason, you opened the garage and caught me. So when I came in, I was able to share with you that, I had very little patience left. And this is something we learned from Brene Brown. We ask each other, hey, what's your bandwidth?
Right.
So if I'm having a really hard day at work and I get home, I'll say, hey, baby, I'm at a 2. Mm-hmm. I don't have much in me right now. Can you give me a chance to just, calm down, recuperate, and then I'll be there for. So we preface almost every conversation now when we want to share with each other, hey, what's your bandwidth?
Sure, yeah. So you found out really quickly you needed a support system to survive this ride with me. So like reaching out to other people, making sure you had people to talk to was really important. And I made sure I was talking to my therapist so that I wasn't constantly venting and just like unleashing on him, so that he didn't always receive the full brunt of everything that I was experiencing. So we both had to make sure we had a good support system. The next point is listen. So, that sounds like pretty self-explanatory, but you need to understand that, especially after your partner's cochlear implant gets activated, their entire world sounds different, and they're going to want to share that experience. Everything sounds super weird at first. They're going to want to try to explain. I was explaining to him the other day that police sirens for me are no longer smooth. They're like stair-steppy. Like the whole world, especially at the beginning, sounds different, especially right after activation. So they're going to want to talk about it. And so one of the best things you can do is listen. So tell us what you learned about listening.
I quickly learned that's the only thing I could do for you. So I think men in general and husbands want to fix something. Honey, what's wrong? XYZ. Okay, well, I'll do ABC and it's all better. I think maybe some men feel weak when you say all you can do is just listen.
I hadn't thought about that.
Because we want to be providers, and we want to
fix things
and build things and create things. And honey, just sit and listen. I don't think I'm wired for that.
That's the best thing, though.
And I had to learn that. I had to learn that just for me to be what you needed was to be what you needed, which was someone just to empathize and hear you out. You know, the old saying of, you know, you're stuck in the mud and I come by and go, oh, here, grab my hand, I'm going to pull you out of the mud. And you're like, no, I want you to crawl in here with me, hold me, and let's just get money together while I walk through this. So.
Yeah, that was the most valuable thing to me, was just to be able to say, hey, this is a really weird experience and I just want to share it. And just having someone who could hold me and just listen is still the most valuable thing. The next one is be patient. So understand that when your partner receives their cochlear implant, when it's activated, or even long after it's activated, their hearing isn't fixed. It's not like normal hearing. It's a completely different way of hearing digitally. And even long after your partner gets used to their cochlear implant, it's a completely different way of hearing. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that we can just magically hear perfectly like we could before, and we can't. So, you know, you will still have to repeat yourself a lot. Your partner might be tired at random times, especially if they're having to do a lot of listening in public. And so you'll just have to learn to be patient, because just because they have a cochlear implant doesn't mean they are fixed. So tell me what you learned about patience as far as my everyday life trying to speak to me and me being able to hear you.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed is I didn't have to speak louder, but I needed to speak slower and make me clearer. It helps when we're in the same room and you can look at me, so I can't yell across the room, hey honey, have you seen my briefcase?
Because then I come over to, this would start to happen at first because we weren't used to it. I would have to come over and look at your face and say, can you say that one more time?
I think she just wanted to look at my face.
I did want to look at his face. He's pretty cute.
and that was a big switch for me, because you were somebody who I bragged about and still brag about, that, you know, because of your perfect pitch and your hearing, you know, in your good ear before your CI, I was learning to play guitar, and I could be in another room and you could tell me what chord I was playing, what fret the capo was on, what key was in, and hey honey, how would I play this solo? And you'd go, oh yeah, you do, boom, boom, boom. Going from that to having you have to look at me to be able to say, you know,
or honey, or me saying, I can't help you at all. I have no idea. I can't hear what song that key's in.
Every chord sounds the same. Oh, huge advantage, though, is you no longer complain about me snoring. So I appreciate that.
Complain about you snoring?
Yeah.
See, I couldn't hear him very clearly at that moment. The next one is adapt to their needs, you know, at least as much as possible within reason. So one of the examples is, it's a simple thing, but just things like captions. I still need captions fairly often when I'm watching TV, because again, my hearing is not perfect. It's a lot better, but it still helps a little bit. And a lot of people don't like captions, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, for some reason, when captions are on, I don't have the self-control to not look at them.
Right.
So all I'm doing is reading the screen and listening. I can't focus on the action. So the first thing I had to realize about that is sure, it might be inconvenient or distracting is a better word. It was distracting for me to have captions on, but compared to your ability to not be able to even understand what was going on, it's a huge sacrifice I had to make. I can't believe I had to do this, but
you would be surprised. I mean, there are people. I mean, I have a friend who, her partner, he knows how much she struggles, but he refuses. He's so annoyed by captions, he refuses to turn them on, and that's just the way it is. And I mean, that makes me really sad.
I think if you look at the big picture, there's some things that are inconvenient, but they're necessary sacrifices to make to improve your partner's enjoyment and walking through life. And
makes sense. So the next tip kind of sounds silly, but it's keep talking. So when I first started having really severe hearing problems, it became really hard for us to communicate. I mean, he could be sitting this close to me on the couch, and I could not understand a word he was saying. I mean, there were days when both my ears were down so hard, I just couldn't understand at all. And the temptation was to just talk less. And we very quickly realized, hey, I remember telling you, hey, I know it's hard, but I need you to keep talking to me because I don't want it to feel like our relationship is shutting down. I don't want to feel even more isolated. So even though it's a lot harder and you have to repeat yourself a lot, I mean, this really falls on you. It kind of falls under patience, but it's like asking you to asking both of us to commit to work a little bit harder. I realized pretty quickly that we defaulted to that and that we needed to change that pretty quick.
At first, I'm like, well, she can't hear. It's probably going to be frustrating for her if I'm trying to talk and she has to keep saying, what? Excuse me? Look at my face. Let me try and read your lips. But that's what you ended up needing is for me to just keep talking. Let's power through this. There's different seasons. Even now with your CI on, some days are better than others. Right. I think the more towards normal you can walk, the better it is, the more comfortable it is. You don't feel as alone because things are quote unquote normal. We're still talking. Yeah. And I know at night our bedtime routine is to either watch a show together or right now we're flipping through YouTube shorts on scare pranks and cat videos. We're watching
scare pranks and cute cats.
For you to get close to me while we're watching those, you have to take your CI off. If I really needed to communicate something, I'll just text it to you. And of course, when you say, "Good night, honey, I love you," the one sign language that I know is I just give my little thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Or there are sometimes, honestly, where you just have to yell at me and I just have to stare at your face, which is kind of funny, but it's better than not talking at all. And the last point is just to keep living. I mean, there are some things that we used to do together that we can't do as much together now because of my situation. Live music is a great example. Live music is one of my most favorite things to experience, but I really can't do it yet. I'm hoping with my second CI I might have a better chance. But ever since I started to lose my hearing, and then even with my CI, it's just way too overwhelming. And that's something we would do together quite often. So I feel like we've lost that. And things like we would jam together. Like he's a drummer, I play guitar, and we would play songs together. And at first, I just stopped doing that altogether because it was way too overwhelming. But we have learned we want to try to push together and be as normal as possible, with at least some modifications.
So yeah, what ended up feeling like a huge void in our life was when we could no longer jam, because that was a huge part of, our early married life. Our love language was just jamming all the time. Because you can listen to any song and go, oh, okay, and then just playing guitar to it. Yeah. That was a huge gap or missing area in our relationship that I'm happy that we're slowly going back to. So.
Yeah, and even that's been hard for me. And it's something that I told him, it's like, I had to have shoulder surgery a while back. And after surgery, sometimes you have to do physical therapy. And the first, I don't know, however many days of physical therapy for my shoulder, I just cried every single time. And I told him, I said, I think I want to try to start jamming together. Oh, a cat has entered the video. It's a family video now. We will continue this video. It's now an all in the family video. So I told him, I really want to try to start jamming and just push through. And I miss playing electric guitar. So we went back to jamming, and he would play drums and I would play electric. And again, I gotta tell you, it sounds terrible, but there are glimmers of it that I'm starting to enjoy it. But it's kind of like that physical therapy where I do actually cry every once in a while when I try to play, and it's sometimes frustrating. But again, we're trying to do what we can to try to hold on to some things that are just a part of our lives together, and making some modifications. We also like to play some couch co-op games on PlayStation, but just making sure that we're doing something together, even if it has to change a little bit, then just so be it. So again, as we wrap this up, we are not perfect by any means. These are just things we learned the hard way, hoping to pass on to you, whether you are a CI recipient or a partner of one. We hope some of our experience ends up being helpful. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for stopping by.
Happy to. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.